Hello, everybody, and welcome back to A&J Gaming. This is your host, Andrew, also known as the world's greatest Magic player. So you're probably wondering, hey, since you're the world's greatest Magic player, how do I build a deck like you? Well, that's a great question because today I'm bringing you another deck tech. And much like the last one, instead of focusing on every single card in the deck and giving you the full list, I just brought the top 16 cards that really make the deck tick and really make it stand out for me. You might be wondering who the general is by now, so bam, Teneb the Harvester. Now, hopefully my editing skills have gotten a little bit better because I'm going to try to leave him on screen here, nice and blown up, so you guys have a nice point of reference while I go through the rest of these cards. Real quick about it, though, a little intro to the deck. The game plan is Teneb really likes to recur things. Therefore, he likes to swing, so this is going to be a more aggressive deck. Basic building blocks of the deck I wanted to mention are going to be, well, creatures, of course. He likes to bring creatures back into play, so you build the deck around other cards that'll bring creatures back into play from the graveyard, help you get them out a little more efficiently, and of course ramp spells, so you can do this a lot more freely. Now, I'm not really going to go into too many of, I guess you could say, the staples, but the ones that I want to mention on the creature front are Garruk's Horde, a 5 and 2 green 7/7 with trample. Play with the top card of your library revealed, and you may cast the top card of your library if it's a creature card. So that's staple number 1, helps you keep getting stuff off the top of your deck. Staple number 2, Thicket Elemental, 3 and 2 green for a 4/4 with the kicker cost of 1 and a green. Whenever it comes into play, if you paid the kicker cost, you may reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. If you do, put that card into play and shuffle all other creatures, or rather, all other cards revealed this way into your library. Again, really good staple. Sure, it's only a one-time effect, but you might be able to pull out some of your big stuff. Like, for example, in this deck, I'm running Vorinclex, I'm running Elish Norn. Being able to cheat them out via a Thicket Elemental feels amazing. And then the third little basic of the building block I wanted to show that yes, he is a rampy card. I use Garruk Wildspeaker himself predominantly as ramp, but he does have many other facets. So Garruk Wildspeaker is 2 and 2 green for a Planeswalker. He comes in with 3 loyalty on him, and his 3 abilities are, you can +1 him to untap 2 target lands. Any lands, doesn't have to be basics, unlike the new Nissa where she can only handle forests and whatnot, or one of the newer Nissas anyway. Just whatever lands you want, he's untapping them. You can roll him down 1 to put a 3/3 green beast creature token into play. Really good, helping you build some board state if you need to. Really good at ramp so far. But the real cool kicker is his ultimate. For -4, you can roll him down 4, possibly, kill him the second turn he's out if you want the advantage that fast. But creatures you control get +3/+3 and trample until end of turn. So he's a little bit of everything that really helps his deck function. He's a perfect fit, and I think he's one of the cheaper Planeswalkers anymore. So those are going to be my staples. But some of the themes that I'm working with here are, I'll go through them in order as I pull up the cards. We got creature advantage. So we're running cards like Tooth and Nail, 5 and 2 green, with an entwine cost of 2 generic. Choose one, or both if you do the entwine. Search your library for up to 2 creature cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your library, or put up to 2 creature cards from your hand into play. So either 7 mana for a really good tutor for this deck, or 9 mana to tutor and cheat them into play, or even just 7 mana to cheat 2 things into play. Really good value, really helps you get a nice creature advantage there. Next up, we have See the Unwritten. It is 4 and 2 green for a sorcery. Reveal the top 8 cards of your library. You may put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield, put the rest into your graveyard. Ferocious. If you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you may put 2 creature cards onto the battlefield instead of 1. Okay, this is a card with very little downside. Yes, if you cast it a little too early, you might get rid of some non-creatures that you didn't want to. Hey, this is a recursion deck, so that doesn't matter too much. There's always ways of getting creatures back, always ways of getting other cards back, and quite frankly, the possibility of, hey, I revealed like 3 or 4 creatures. The possibility of putting some of those in the grave is actually advantageous to this deck. So, no downside there. And of course, you get the awesome possibility of pooping 2 out. Alright, last bit of creature advantage, which is almost a general board advantage card, is Genesis Wave. X and 3 green, sorcery. Reveal the top X cards of your library. You may put any number of permanent cards with converted mana cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield. Then put all cards revealed this way that weren't put onto the battlefield into your graveyard. Again, kind of the same thing as See the Unwritten, just a lot more explosive and a lot more possibility to go crazy. Sure, you're going to whiff on your instants and sorceries. But even casting this for, I want to say 8's about the magic number I found. Even throwing it down for 8, of course you can do it for more. That really turns the game around in your favor. It really gets you a lot of creatures out, gets you more lands, gets you a little bit of everything. It's just a great card to have. But now that I've handled creature advantage, you're probably wondering, man, how do we make those creatures actually do work? And that's how we come into board advantage. So I have 2 nice counters or board wipes here in the form of Ingarrick's Wake and Plague Wind, both very similar. Ingarrick's Wake is 7 and 2 black for a sorcery. Destroy all creatures you don't control and all planeswalkers you don't control. With the popularity of Planeswalkers rising, very good card, very solid, great to have, and it clears the board for your guys to get in and do some damage. Plague Wind is same exact cost, however it doesn't touch Planeswalkers, but it still destroys all creatures you don't control, with a stipulation this time being that they cannot be regenerated. I haven't really noticed Regenerate being too much of a thing lately, but I know there are a good couple staples, such as Asceticism, that a lot of people will run and can give their stuff Regenerate. This is just, even if they don't have Regenerate, this is a great way of setting your field up. And if they do have Regenerate, well, this kind of cancels that out. Alright, the last little bit of board advantage I have is a newer card, Vona's Hunger. 2 and a black instant, and I really like that a card like this is instant. It has Ascend, so that means if you control 10 or more permanents, you get the City's Blessing for the rest of the game. Now, on its own, without the City's Blessing, it's essentially, a 3 mana, each opponent sacrifices a creature. Okay, however, if you have the City's Blessing, instead each opponent sacrifices half the creatures he or she controls rounded up. The fact that this is an instant, and this is totally legal in EDH, I love. This is great. You can clear out most of their board, so whatever you're swinging into, they're going to be a lot less likely to get rid of it, unless they're playing tokens and just could chump the crap out of tokens. But most other decks that aren't spamming creatures out are going to have a really hard time choosing what to block. Great card. And of course, we have to have the mandatory uh-oh button, which is Decree of Pain. Now, I do have a couple other Wrath effects in here. Again, I'm just trying to highlight the really good ones, the ones that stand out, the ones that bring us the most benefit. So Decree of Pain is 6 and 2 black for a sorcery. Destroy all creatures, they can't be regenerated. Draw a card for each creature destroyed this way. That's great. That's going to add up to a lot of cards in a lot of games. However, let's say you don't have the 8 total mana for this card, but you still need to make an impact. Maybe you need some card advantage. You also have the option of cycling the card for 3 and 2 black. And whenever you cycle it, all creatures get -2/-2 till end of turn. So you can still benefit from it, and it gives you a little bit of flexibility, because if somebody has a giant horde of tokens out, you don't want to draw through your entire deck. It's not really going to benefit you too much, but of course, cycling it still takes care of them, and you still do get a card advantage on it. But after hitting one of the buttons, one of the many, many buttons, let's lay these out a little prettier for everybody to look at while I'm going through everything. But after you're done hitting the button, you need to recover somehow, and that is the next little strategy or archetype I'm going to be mentioning here, is recovering. So we have awesome cards like Emeria the Sky Ruin. It's a land, enters the battlefield tapped. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 7 or more planes, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Again, this deck has green in it, so we're going to be doing plenty of ramping. There are creatures that ramp, there are creatures that continuously ramp, there are a lot of great options and ways of enabling this and making sure you have all 7 of those planes. Next up, we have Journey to Eternity. I'll actually set this down so I can pull it out of the sleeve. On its own, it is a 1 black-green mana cost legendary enchantment. Enchant creature you control. Whenever enchanted creature dies, return it to the battlefield under your control. Then return Journey to Eternity to the battlefield transformed under your control. So this is great to throw down before you hit the button. It's great to throw down to protect something. I'd try to stick more towards doing it before you have to hit the button, because there's always the possibility that your creature can get exiled and this will whiff. But whenever it flips over, we have Atzal. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Cave of Eternity. It's a legendary land. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, or you can pay 3, a green and a black, and tap it to return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Awesome. Beautiful recovery. Maybe I need some mana fixing once everything gets blown up, because it depends on how you build the deck, but maybe you had some creature that did the mana fixing and now it's no longer there. Other ways of recovering are Obsidian's Aid. 3, a white and a black for a sorcery. Return target permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Pretty self-explanatory. 5 mana, get back whatever you're missing. You can even get back your planeswalkers, artifacts, enchantments with it. Really good card. And then there is, of course, Debtor's Knell. Debtor's Knell is 4 and 3 hybrid, white or black. It's an enchantment, and please forgive how beaten up this card is. I've had it for a long time before I even knew how to use sleeves, and even then, it wasn't in much worse condition because the guy I got it off of was pretty uncaring about his cards. But anyway, 4 and 3 hybrid, white or black for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, put target creature card in a graveyard into play under your control. I like that stipulation that it's just a graveyard, because congratulations, you blew up the field, you're starting to recover, each turn you're getting more powerful. Man, I'm really starting to kind of whiff on having stuff in my graveyard to pull out, or I have enough other ways of pulling stuff out. You get to get one of your opponent's creatures. Absolutely great card. It's amazing, and it functions great with the deck. Now, the last category I want to cover is... some people would consider these win better cards. I consider these what really makes the deck unique to me. As you can see, looking at the commander over here, he likes to attack. When he does, he lets you recur a creature. So he's going to be swinging pretty frequently later in the game. And a 6/6 body on a flyer is pretty nice, but why don't we make it a little bigger? So of course we have Bear Umbra. 2 and 2 green for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has, whenever this creature attacks, untap all lands you control. And it has totem armor, so it's a nice little level of protection there. Yeah, it's going to be swinging. You're going to be untapping all your lands. It's a great effect, and it really lets you be able to do more on your turn and get more value out of whatever mana sinks you have. Or maybe after you see the state of the board, you'll now have more mana open to figure out what exactly you're doing. And then the last card, Blackblade Reforged. I feel like this is a really underrated card in a lot of decks. I feel like if your commander is going to swing even, a small handful of times per game, other than just when the board is clear to get, 2 extra damage in, you should probably be playing this. But it is a 2 generic mana cost, legendary artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each land you control. You can equip it to any creature for 7 mana, or you can equip it to a legendary creature for 3. Great. Like I said, we're in green. We're doing some great ramping, and I love to stick it on Teneb, because commander damage is still a thing. Even if you get this out absolutely as early as possible, you're getting it out turn 2. Turn 3, you could possibly equip it to something, but let's say theoretically, right as soon as you get Teneb out, turn 7, you're making him huge. It's a great card. I think it really fits into the deck well. So to kind of summarize everything, how I have the deck built and how I feel Teneb works really well is he's a pretty rampy, aggressive, creature-based deck that's not afraid to hit the button and blow up the field, because he's going to recover and come out on top of it. But anyway, that's been my top 16 cards for Teneb/Deck Tech. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. You guys like how the deck looks? Do you disagree with any of my staples? Now remember, these are just what I'd consider, good building blocks, so don't tear me apart too bad, but let me know what you think below. Thank you guys. Have a great day. Andrew out.